Orban-style vetoes undermine the democratic principles of the European Union, Foreign Chief Kaja Kallas tells Euronews.
The European Union's failure to sanction Israel over its military action in Gaza and Lebanon weakens the collective credibility to defend Ukraine, said Spanish Prime Minister.
EU governments are warning that Brussels' attempt to simplify housing regulation through its so-called omnibuses could be backfiring.
This week saw the lifting of two Hungarian vetoes, one on the €90 billion loan to Ukraine and another on the 20th package of sanctions against Russia. In an interview with Euronews on the sidelines of an informal EU summit in Cyprus, EU Foreign Chief Kaja Kallas reflected on the nature of the veto, frequently used by outgoing Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban to the frustration of many European leaders.
We have seen recently that actually, when 26 countries want something and one doesn't, then we do what this one wants to do, not what 26 want to do. So it's not really democracy. And we definitely have to also look into our working methods to be more effective, because in this geopolitical world, we need to be credible, and by that we need to be united and able to make decisions.
New leadership in Hungary could also mean progress in Ukraine's EU accession negotiations.
It's very often projected that what all these countries get when they get to the European Union. But actually, we need to talk about what do we also benefit from these countries joining. A bigger Europe, a stronger Europe in terms of defense, in terms of also bigger single market that benefits our companies, that makes us more credible geopolitical power in the world. So it is always a geopolitical choice, and we need to work with our public opinion.
But is there a risk that the European Union will not fulfill the big promise that it has made to Ukraine?
I hope it's not the case. We are working for this fulfillment because it is, like I said, we also need Ukraine in Europe to be stronger when it comes to defense, for example. They are the strongest defense force that there is in Europe right now. And Europe would be stronger also if Ukraine would be with us.
The European Union's failure to sanction Israel over its military action in Gaza and Lebanon weakens the collective credibility and legitimacy to defend Ukraine against Russia's full-scale invasion, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has said on Friday.
Ayer yo defendí esa posición, porque algo que nos está deslegitimando, no solamente de cara al exterior, sino también de cara al interior, a nuestras sociedades, es este doble estándar, esta doble vara de medir que Europa está utilizando en Ucrania y en Oriente Medio.
His warning comes a few days after Spain's renewed push to terminate the EU-Israel Association Agreement in response to the deadly strikes against Lebanon was met with broad opposition from other EU member states. Germany and Italy, which are key to achieving the necessary qualified majority vote in favor of a partial suspension, remain on the fence. Sanchez made the case to his fellow EU leaders during an informal summit in Cyprus, pointing to an internal review by Brussels that found Israel in breach of Article 2 of the Association Agreement, which imposes binding obligations to respect human rights. Israel has long contested the Spanish criticism, arguing its military offenses in Gaza and Lebanon were designed to eliminate the threats posed by Hamas and Hezbollah, respectively, both of which are backed by Iran.
2 people were killed and more than a dozen injured in a Russian strike overnight on the Black Sea port city of Odessa, Ukraine regional authorities said on Friday. The State Emergency Service of Ukraine reported residential buildings and civilian infrastructure were hit, sparking major fires. Authorities also reported a Russian drone also struck a merchant ship sailing under the flag of St. Kitts and Nevis that was heading to the port of Odessa. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, the US-based Resume for Ukraine organization, in partnership with the American Coalition for Ukraine, on Wednesday installed a display of 20,000 teddy bears at the National Mall in Washington. The stuffed bears are meant to represent the estimated 20,000 Ukrainian children that have been abducted by Russian forces since the war in Ukraine began in 2022.
Next to me here on this wall, you see teddy bears. They're a symbol of childhood and innocence, a very thing that makes a child feel safe when they're scared. But each of these teddy bears represents a child who has not only had their innocence stolen from them, but their identity.
According to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, some 2,100 abducted children have been returned to their loved ones by the Bring Kids Back UA initiative since 2023.
Russian soldiers who took part in the full-scale invasion of Ukraine should be banned for life from the Schengen area, Estonia's Prime Minister Kristen Michal has told Euronews. The Estonian government argues that the Kremlin's expanded mobilization increases the likelihood that former combatants could threaten the EU even once hostilities are over.
What will those people do? Most of them are criminals, but they have to be treated as heroes inside Russia. So, once again, I would ask everybody that, do you want these guys near to your home? No, you don't. So that's why you have to ban them for life from Schengen.
Estonia has already banned about 1,300 Russian fighters, Michal said. But given the sheer amount of Russian soldiers, the Prime Minister seeks to turn the proposal into an EU-wide policy. Estonia is promoting the Schengen ban since earlier this year and has gained support from other EU countries. The European Council even included the project in its conclusions at the March summit. EU governments are warning that Brussels' attempt to simplify housing regulation through its so-called omnibuses could be backfiring. Concerns grow that new rules may actually slow down urgently needed projects, a letter led by Ireland and backed by 6 other EU countries reveals. The Irish government has asked Economic Commissioner Valdis Dombrovskis to rethink plans to accelerate permitting procedures. It stressed that faster approvals are vital to deliver housing and critical infrastructure. Alongside Ireland, Austria, Greece, Lithuania, Poland, Slovakia and Slovenia argued that the issue is not over-regulation but poor alignment of EU laws. The request comes as Ireland faces a deepening housing crisis marked by soaring rents, widespread homelessness and chronic supply shortages. The issue extends beyond Ireland. House prices in the EU rose by 53% between 2010 and 2024 and rents by 25%.
The next Hungarian government can decide whether the European Union's prosecution service will be able to investigate potential violations by the outgoing government of Viktor Orbán. Newly joined member states can choose to allow the body to have jurisdiction in their country from the moment they join or from the time of the establishment of the EPPO 5 years ago.
Poland said that when they sent a request to the European Commission, they said that they want to join EPPO and their competence would start from the moment when we became operational for 2021. So it's a kind of retroactive competence and they could do it. It was linked. Sweden, when they join EPPO, they said that the competence will start for the moment that they will join. So all the crimes that were committed after the moment that they join. So we have 2 different situations in EPPO. Let's see how Hungary will choose to deal with this.
Viktor Orbán, a fierce critic of the EU, has previously opposed Hungary from joining the EPPO. But Peter Magyar, who beat him comprehensively in the Hungarian elections earlier this month, has regularly stated he would push for accession.
From the EPPO side, I can tell you that we are ready. Whatever need, whatever help our colleagues in Hungary will need, we can deliver.
24 member states are currently part of the EPPO with the exception of Ireland and Denmark. The office is an independent body that is responsible for investigating and prosecuting crimes against the financial interests of the EU.
As global energy routes shift and geopolitical tensions reshape supply chains, the Caspian region is becoming increasingly strategic. The Caspian and Central Asia Oil Trading and Logistics Forum is the latest platform to discuss the challenges that lie ahead.
As you know, Azerbaijan is a really gate for the movement between East and West, and investment into this part of the world is a crucial and important, and particularly in the highlighting with the geopolitical situations.
The Middle Corridor links Central Asia to Europe through the Caspian Sea, South Caucasus and Turkey. As traditional supply chains face disruption, governments and companies are looking to diversify transport routes and reduce geopolitical risk.
80% of oil goes via CPC pipeline, Caspian Pipeline Consortium. That's why Middle Corridor, as I said, is very important, and definitely Kazakhstan is seeking alternative roads and investors who can support this road.
Azerbaijan sits at the center of that corridor, connecting oil and refined products from Central Asia and the Caspian Basin to global markets through pipelines, ports and rail networks.
Work with the governments, these area governments, it would help all round, and it would be a hedge against these volatile, significant costs that go up for the individual companies. It would be much better for them.
But expanding capacity remains a major challenge, from port infrastructure to rail connections and shipping across the Caspian Sea, both westwards and east.
I think that these Central Asian countries need to look at Pakistan specifically and South Asia in general in terms of investing in infrastructure to bring their gas down south.
As governments and companies search for more resilient supply chains, the race to develop new corridors across Eurasia is accelerating, placing the Caspian region firmly on the global energy map. Nadira Tudor, Euronews, Baku.